Well, how many people in this room watched the election coverage last night? That's what I figured. Okay. It's pretty exciting, a pretty great new media story. And Jim and I were speaking a little earlier today, and we thought maybe we'd start out talking about that and how this really was kind of the web video election. I mean, and played a big role in shaping it.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think how many people watched some sort of election-related video online? Probably everybody, right? I mean, from Obama Girl to, I don't know, the strange things that got posted. And I think that influenced a lot. I think there was, as much or more, people were influenced by what they saw online. But you know what I also thought was really interesting? When Obama wanted to reach the nation in the last week before the election, what did he do? He didn't release something online on YouTube. He went after all the broadcast networks. So anybody who thinks that the internet and video is going to replace all broadcast and cable, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, he still made that multi-million-dollar buy. There were some things last night, and I don't know how many people saw this, but I thought we got a little bit of a window into where video is going to be in the future. And I'm thinking specifically, I don't know how many people who were watching CNN when they had these holographic guests in the studio. I mean, this was Star Trek come to life. I mean, with boom, someone beamed in who, I think I remember there was one thing with Will.i.am who had been
people in Chicago, and
yeah.
they were basically in the studio, and the anchor could, the way it looked to you as a viewer is that they were actually having a conversation with this person, not on a flat display, but a real 3D person right there who happened to just be far away.
Pretty wild stuff. Do you think we're going to get to that point, Jim, where that's going to be our living room experience?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you want to go totally, I'll totally paint a bizarre picture for you. But imagine, right now we have media rooms at our houses, or we have rooms, we have big screen TVs. You're going to be able to have a whole wall like this painted with a screen, and you'll be able to just be hanging out, and it'll be like there's a whole 3D experience. I mean, that's coming. Where I remember telling someone, I was like, oh, that's like 10 years away. They're like, no, we're going to be there in 3 years. And what we saw last night actually is an interesting early representation of it. Now, understand, to do that, that person had to stand there and have, I think, 32 or 36 cameras around them. They had 20 computers in a truck, just basically synthesizing and putting the image together and then shooting it over a big broadband connection. And when the anchor was in the studio, they weren't actually talking to that holographic representation. That was actually put together in another video truck to make it all go together. But still, I thought the ability to sort of see it from the back and the front, and it was like they were right there. That was just, those are the baby steps of that sort of 3D holographic presentation that we'll all be experiencing 10 or 15 years from now, or if not less.
And we know that. I'm looking here. They're filming us with these cameras here that, just a few years ago, these would have been huge, and they'd be $60,000, $75,000 Ikegami camera.
So we put an HD studio together out in San Francisco to do our shows. And I've built $30 million, $40 million studios for Tech TV, ZDTV, so when I was there and launched that network. And cameras, like huge cameras, and we're like you said, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And you look at right now, and we have a $6,000 to $7,000 JVC HD camera. It sits on a sled, so you can control the color in the studio, in the control room. But I laugh when I take people out and I look at it, and you look at the whole rack as it sits on this really fancy pedestal. And I say, in the past, the camera was the most expensive part of that rack. And now I look at it and say, I ask people, what's the most expensive part of the rack? And I'm like, it's the hand-built Italian pedestal, because Moore's Law doesn't apply to hand-built Italian pedestals. They still cost $10,000. So I don't know. Certain things will probably not go down in price.
Sounds like there's a business opportunity there. I don't know.
The fluid hand-built pedestals, that's tough. That's real manufacturing.
Well, let's talk about, I want to get to what you're doing with your current company. But give us kind of like the quick overview, how you got from, you're kind of like Web 0.00 to Web almost 3.0.
Even worse than that. It's really cool actually being here at NYIT, because I went to grad school at NYU back in, and this is the business school, so I didn't go to school for media, which kind of people have worked for me like, oh yeah, that figures. But I got an MBA down at NYU when it was down by the World Trade Center, and was a programmer and built applications for large systems. I actually started writing about what I was doing, and so I was, just started writing about the programs and things we were building and the systems and PCs and all that. And there was an ad in the New York Times for lab director at this magazine called PC Week at the time. I was like, I'll never get the job, but maybe they'll you know, I can freelance for them. And they hired me. And so it's like, surprise, surprise. So I ended up working for them at the magazine company, ended up moving to California, and they ended up launching a cable network called ZDTV,
right,
which is a 24-hour cable network about technology. So I did that for 5 or 6 years. Left that, well, actually it got sold to Paul Allen. Paul Allen is the world's worst investor. If you ever work for a company that gets bought by Paul Allen, get your resume together.
Yeah, run in the other direction.
But it was good for the first year, and then he lost interest, and that's what he does. But anyway, so I went back and ran websites for what had been the magazine company that got sold off to somebody else, and started launching. And because we'd done the video, all of a sudden there was enough bandwidth out there to be able to create television programs really cheaply. We used something called a TriCaster. We did 2 programs. They were pretty cool. At the same time, Revision3 had been started by some people that I worked with at Tech TV. They also started a site called Dig. You guys probably all know Dig. So 2 companies, separate companies, got investment, and the investors, like, to the guys running both companies, said, well, you probably ought to go run Dig because it's really taking off, and find someone to go run Revision3. And I'd been, at this point, I was traveling back and forth to New York every other week, and I got really tired of it. And I also knew that the future was in internet video. So I'd been on the magazine side when the web came out and saw how the web totally transformed magazines. The same thing is happening with video. Internet video is going to totally transform broadcast and cable. And I decided this time I wanted to be on the side that was making the transformation happen rather than reacting to it. We're going to look back 10 or 15 years from now, and I know I'm going to look back and be like, wow, you know, 10 or 15% of what we did was really smart, and the other 85% was really stupid. We just don't know what those things are right now, so you got to try a lot of different stuff. So right now with Revision3, what we're doing that seems to work, and you know, early on, 2 or 3 years ago, everyone was like, online video, if it's longer than 2 minutes, nobody's going to watch. And we were doing shows that were like 30, 45 minutes long and put them out there and get a couple 100,000 people watching them. We're like, I think you guys need to broaden your horizon. And so, but what we've done is, so we do a wide range of shows, episodic, built around personalities. Some of them are a half hour, 45 minutes long, like Dignation. Some of them are as short as 6 minutes long. We do this show called Scam School, which is all about how to scam free drinks from your friends at the bar using magic. And the guy who does it is this great internet magician, Brian Brushwood, who just, and it's 6 minutes long. We go to a bar, he pulls these tricks on people and gets a free drink, and then he shows them how to do it. And so all I know is that this stuff is working now. People are watching it. It's episodic. They love the personalities involved are people that the audience, this community of people want to spend time with. And as one of our fans for Dignation, Michael Lewis, who actually lives here in New York, who gets a group of people together to watch some of our shows, said, it's not a fan base, it's a friend base. And that's true. It's everybody kind of, there's no separation. Like, remember, I mean, I remember early watching TV when, like, Walter Cronkite, right, and, you know, the CBS Evening News, and I remember I met him once. He was given an award, and it was like meeting the Pope. I wanted to kiss his ring. I was just happy to stand in his shadow, as I'm sure you know. And then, you know, with cable, so what happened with cable? Cable came out, we had ESPN, and you know, you had Dan Patrick and Downtown Judy Brown. These are the kind of people that you know you could probably hang out with. If you were sitting at the table with them, they'd do all the talking, and you'd be like happy to be with them. But it would still be like there'd be a little bit of a reserve. What works now with online video, these personalities, it's not the Pope. It's not somebody who's going to sit there and do all the time. It's just a friend and somebody that you enjoy hanging out with. And so what we do is we build programs around these people, passionate about topics, really cool, engaging, entertaining, real and authentic, the kind of people that we all just want to hang out with. They just happen to be slightly better at presenting in front of the camera. And we build those communities, and that's what seems to work now. I don't know what's going to work in 5 years, but chances are we'll try it.
It's kind of interesting because in a lot of ways, I mean, television's an intimate medium. And when you had the advent of cable, it got even, that was where a lot of reality TV came, so-called reality TV came from. And it became even more, you had more empathy with who was on the screen. You know, if you were the MTV demographic, you were watching the kids in Real World. And then it seems this almost gets even closer to reaching out and touching somebody through this small screen.
It's the personalization of media, and that's where, you know, take this, see how far it goes. I mean, I'm fascinated by the stuff that some of the folks that some of our hosts are doing with their cell phones and quick, and the ability to just, at any point, just put it up and start streaming. You know, look at me, this is my refrigerator, and this is my dog, and people watch that. I mean, 30,000 people watch Kevin Rose show off the refrigerator at Dig. I mean, that just blows me away. But how many people have one of those little pure video cameras? Is there,
you mean like a flip?
No, a little flip video camera. So these things are great. I've got one in my bag, except it broke. So now when I turn it on, I just get a green screen. But they're great because you can go out and just take a little thing and upload it to YouTube, and there it
Right,
is.
boom, USB connection. I'm going to get one to take.
Oh, they're so great. Just get one that
Great
doesn't
toy.
turn green.
Couple questions. One, where do you find this stuff? I mean, where do you go hunting?
So where do you find the people?
Exactly.
One of the things we're exploring, and partly it's going out and finding out who's attracting audiences to themselves and building it, but I don't know how many of you use Twitter, play with Twitter. I think Twitter's great. Those of you who have Twitter, J Louderback, follow me. It's a boring experience, but I have to say that. So Twitter has this thing called Twitterholic, where what they do is they rank Twitter users by the number of followers. Really cool. Top 100. Kevin Rose, who hosts Dig Nation, who started Dig and Revision3, he was #1 for a long time with like 80,000 followers. He was actually surpassed a month ago by Barack Obama, which I guess we'll give him that.
Okay.
I'm not sure if Barack's going to be Twittering too much anymore, so maybe Kevin will be 100 up there. But 10 of our hosts come from
early
there.
adapter that you are. Is there anybody in here who doesn't know what Twitter is?
Okay, Twitter is a micro-blogging service. What it does is you go in and you follow people, and then when you leave a message, it's up to 140 characters. So it says, "What are you doing now?" And it's like, "I'm sitting here listening to people on stage at NYIT." And so you should check it out. It's a really cool way to keep in touch with your friends. It's really addicting too.
It's a real news application to it. Oh, I'm stuck in an airport in Newark and I'm reined in.
And actually, what's happened with news, and this is kind of a sidelight, but when an earthquake happens, you can find out on Twitter in a microsecond because somebody there is going to say, "Oh my God, there's an earthquake happening," and it can take the news organizations 4 or 5 seconds. As a viewer, that they were actually having a conversation with this person, not on a flat display, but a real 3D person right there who happened to just be far away.
Pretty wild stuff. Do you think we're going to get to that point, Jim, where that's going to be our living room experience?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you want to go totally, I'll totally paint a bizarre picture for you. But imagine, right now we have media rooms.
Shaping it.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think how many people watched some sort of election-related video online? Probably everybody, right? I mean, from Obama Girl to, I don't know, the strange things that got posted. And I think that influenced a lot. I think there was, as much or more, people were influenced by what they saw online. But you know what I also thought was really interesting? When Obama wanted to reach the nation in the last week before the election, what did he do? He didn't release something online on YouTube. He went after all the broadcast networks. So anybody who thinks that the internet and video is going to replace all broadcast and cable, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, he still made that multi-million-dollar buy. There were some things last night, and I don't know how many people saw this, but I thought we got a little bit of a window into where, how many people in this room watched the election coverage last night? That's what I figured. Okay. It's pretty exciting, a pretty great new media story. And Jim and I were speaking a little earlier today, and we thought maybe we'd start out talking about that and how this really was kind of the web video election. I mean, and played a big role in video is going to be in the future. And I'm thinking specifically, I don't know how many people who were watching CNN when they had these holographic guests in the studio. I mean, this was Star Trek come to life. I mean, with boom, someone beamed in who, I think I remember there was one thing with will.i.am who had been
people in Chicago, and
yeah.
they were basically in the studio, and the anchor could, the way it looked to you